Hello, I'm Councillor George Millar. I'd like to talk to you briefly about the City of Nelson's Tag-A-Bag garbage program. On July 5th, our new bylaw came into effect that for household garbage waste or solid waste, it's required that only 2 bags or 2 cans of garbage be placed out that are picked up without an additional cost. Beyond that, any bag or can must have the dollar tag on it that the City of Nelson provides at a number of outlets here in the city. Along with this, we've been encouraging recycling. We've said, among other things, that if people take recyclables to the recycling depot and they fill up a container approximately the size of a blue box, they would get a recycling tag. We also are making a change in our charges for commercial bins where there's a tipping fee each time the bin is dumped. These things have had an effect on everyone really in the City of Nelson and some people outside of the city in terms of how they get rid of their garbage. Most people have agreed that it was time that we went to a charge and encouraged recycling. However, we've had some comments from people saying that the recycling aspect of it hasn't been working too well. We talked to Michael Jessen, the coordinator of the recycling depot, and expressed concerns. And he came back with some concerns of his own. I guess we didn't do a very good timing on it in terms of holidays for some of his staff, and many people began recycling for the first time in a week that some of his people were on holidays, and perhaps you didn't get the prompt attention you might have expected. The other thing, of course, is that with many new recyclers, sorting and organizing of the recyclables was not done very effectively. Indeed, some people brought in things that are not recyclable at all, including used Kleenex and facial tissue, this type of thing. So the depot really felt swamped, and if some of you felt that you didn't get the tickets for your garbage the way we had promoted it before the bylaw came into effect, we apologize for that. And basically it has to do with 2 things: people not organizing their recycling and causing an extra burden on staff, and just the fact that in terms of the staff holidays of that particular location, we weren't advised of this in our discussions with Michael, but it did turn out to be an unfortunate time for this to happen. I think you'll find that as we go along, that wrinkle will be ironed out, and you'll get your tags very readily. But if you are a new recycler, it doesn't hurt to take the time at the recycling depot to find out just how to organize the products that you bring in so that they can be effectively and quickly put into recycling without a lot of manpower lost there at the recycling depot. The other thing Michael asked me to mention is the fact that the recycling depot is indeed looking for volunteers, because the work there is very labor intensive, and so if you wanted to do something to help the environment and had some time to offer, give them a phone call at the depot or drop in, talk to Michael or anyone there, and I'm sure they'd be happy to hear from you on that score. Now, as far as the bags at the curb or in the alley, depending on where your garbage is picked up, that, of course, is the responsibility of the homeowner. In the past, some people within the City of Nelson and some who don't live within the city have been using commercial bins as a way of disposing of their own household garbage. Now, commercial ventures have always paid a monthly rental fee, and so even before the new bylaw was passed, some businesses were a little upset when residents would dump into their bins. However, it wasn't a very large charge, and there was no tipping fee for the bin. Now the charge per month has gone up, and there is a tipping fee each time the bin is collected. And some of the commercial places, businesses are expressing concern about the potential of citizens not having to use their own tags by dumping into commercial. That hardly seems fair. And since they are paying, and we've asked households to pay, on a user basis in terms of volume, we have had a few occasions where staff have checked and they have found that people are dumping household waste into these bins. A letter asking that you not do that will be the first step. A few people may have already received these even before you see this program. But we do intend to have the bylaw enforced, and there are fines that could go up to $2,000 for people who would be dumping in an inappropriate fashion. We think it's unfair to the businesses, and I think you would understand that as well. It doesn't cost very much. Most families don't regularly put out much more than 2 bags or 2 cans anyway, and particularly if you're recycling, the extra bag that you might put out occasionally shouldn't cost you very much because of getting the free tags when you do indeed recycle. Now, in January, the number of bags that will be picked up without needing the tag goes down to 1. We've done this as a phase-in program with the understanding that people will learn how to recycle, will also learn to compost, and of course right now it's illegal to put grass clippings and so on out for pickup. They can be taken directly down to the transfer station and put on the compost heap that is there. Or, speaking of taking things to the transfer station, if you would rather do that than pay the $1 for an extra bag, there is no tipping fee if you take directly to the transfer station. So that is also an alternative for you if you choose to do that. We think the program is necessary. Some people have said it's been a long time coming, in fact. Many other communities across BC and indeed across North America are doing similar things. We believe that we'll shortly have any of the bugs and defects ironed out. We know that the majority of people are with us on this, and for those few of you who felt that there just wasn't the sufficient attention being given to some of the details, we ask your indulgence for a short period of time over the summer, during which we believe all of these things will be ironed out. If you have further questions, you can call at City Hall and we'll try and get back to you, or call any member of the City Waste Management Committee. At least the councillors are Councillors McDonald, Mason and myself, and we would be very happy to discuss the situation with you. Thank you for listening.
My name is Michael Jessen. I'm the recycling coordinator for the Nelson Salmo area, and we'd like to start our little segment of the program here by really congratulating people in the area for the amount of recycling that they're doing. To the end of July, we have recycled as much material as we recycled in the entire year of 1991. So we're obviously going to set some brand new records this year in recycling. But there are some things that people are bringing us that are non-recyclable, and also some of the things that people bring in could be just organized a little bit better, because as our volume increases, the workload on the people who work here vastly increases. So there's a number of small tips that we would like to point out to people. The box that I have here is an example that we show of not recycling, and I hope the person who brought this in says, "Oh, that's my box." What we've got is just a real mixture of stuff. There's plastic, which we do not take. There's styrofoam, which we don't take. Things like paperboard products, cereal box type cardboard, which we don't take. There is some magazines here, which we do take. There's some good colored paper, which we like. There's newspaper, which we like. But the problem is, as you can see, that it's all mixed together. So when we go through this box, we have to spend a considerable amount of time separating out the good corrugated cardboard from the newspaper, from the items that we don't take. Again, the person here has given us their tin cans, which is great, but they've mixed their aluminum in it, and just these little things that are all mixed up together makes it that much more time for the workers here to separate the material. So we try to give you the advice to separate it very well at home or at your workplace, because that's where it's the easiest place to do it. With regard to newspaper, it's really quite simple. You've got the newspaper, which is this size, and you've got smaller papers and flyers, which are this size. We basically ask you to just make 2 bundles. If the flyer is big enough to fit in the newspaper pile, that's fine. But please, don't put your magazines mixed in with that. All of this paper has to be sold separately. All of these items have a different value, and for us to be able to sell this to the marketplace, it needs to be carefully separated. With regard to tin cans, we need to have them flat like this. They need to be shipped all the way to Seattle. That's a long way to go, and an unflattened can takes up about 4 times as much room in the truck as a flattened can. Now, for those of you who don't know what to do with the cans that have the rounded bottom, we ask you to do the 2-step on it. Now, this is the recycling 2-step. Step on it once, step on it twice, and there you've got a nicely flattened round bottom can. Look at, if we move over here, you can see that this person brought in the stuff, and they did an excellent job of separating it. The newspaper is all in the right size of a bundle. The flyers are in the right size of bundle. They brought in some white paper, which they've kept all separate, and they brought in some colored paper, which they have kept separate. Some stuff here, cards. We save cards, by the way. There are people in town who save cards for reuse. We also do things like save stamps. Anybody who's a home winemaker, we have wine bottles here for sale for $2 a dozen. And we have a lot of other things that people bring to the recycling depot that we have on our reuse shelf over here, which can be purchased for a modest donation to the recycling depot. So keep up the good work, and please try to remember the few tips that we've given you today to help recycling go a lot more smoother. Thank you very much. Hi, how are you today? Thank you for bringing your recyclables. What a good job you've done. Boy, what's your name?
Darren.
Darren?
Darren Hinton.
Oh, great. Thank you very much. And what's your name?
Caitlin.
Caitlin. Oh, that's a beautiful name. I have a daughter named Caitlin. Thank you very much. So these people have brought in the material. You see, they've just separated into bags. Different paper, colored paper in a separate bag from the white paper. And this is computer paper, which is quite a bit more valuable, so it's great they've separated that out. And there's your colored bottles.
Yes, and any of the boxes that are nice, like these 2, I want back.
Okay.
Oh, dogs coming into the car.